In your own words, what's the biggest challenge that your company solves for your customers?
Yeah, so many of our customers are entrepreneurs. So we are trying to solve the entrepreneurship roadblocks that they face, trying to set up their website, trying to set up their sales funnels. And so we really are trying to be the category king when it comes to the sales funnels and e-commerce and all of those entrepreneurship dreams that people have. So we make it really easy to set up your website and really take hold of your business and create leads for yourselves and really understand customers and who is coming through your sales funnels to better market to them and better get their ideas and their message out to anybody they really want to.
Yeah, because one of the biggest barriers to getting started in this space is setting up some kind of website and having a funnel that people follow through to a purchase, right?
Absolutely. And a lot of people biggest fears is, hey, I don't have any of these skills, computer software skills or engineering skills. How am I going to do that when I have a product that I think is a really good product, but I don't have some of these skills and I am not the jack of all trades, if you will. So, ClickFunnels makes it really easy for you to set up that website and make sure that you can effectively get your message out there. And then after that, market to them any way you want to. So,
with regards to being able to systematize your company by documenting procedures, processes, or policies, what were the biggest challenges that kept you up at night?
Yeah, we were in a hyper growth phase about 2 years ago. So we went from 30,000 active users to 95,000 active users as we have today. So we were in a insanely hyper growth phase. We were on the Inc. 500 list as one of the fastest growing companies in the United States. And so when we faced those challenges of growing, that also came with challenges of we had to onboard a bunch of people. And so we went from 100 employees to 350 employees really, really quickly. So we had to train and operate in a space where everybody had the same goals and ideas and had the same standard operating procedures to use day to day. And so a lot of us had some of these procedures ingrained in our heads, but we didn't have them on paper. And so one of our biggest challenges was trying to get all of the things that we did on a day-to-day basis on paper and actually in a document, or things that we needed day-to-day to actually be something that we had a reference to. So that was one of our biggest challenges, just trying to get that all set up. And Sweet Process was one of those saving graces for us, because we were just using Google Docs and just using these random documents that we had. So we had to pull up a million different things, and organizing it with Sweet Process was one of our biggest saving graces to really boost our company from that 100 person mark to 350 people, and having everybody try to do the same exact thing each and every day. So there was no deviation or variation when it came to servicing customers.
When you were going through that growth phase, how were you feeling? Anxious, nervous, fearful, any of it?
I started as a billing agent, and as a billing agent, it was just the four of us, and we were just doing subscription based service. And we knew the tech support side had about 80 people at that time, and we only had four. And so we were really, we took on a lot of roles and responsibilities. So it was a scary time of like being thrown into the fire. We didn't have a lot of the skills that you really needed to be successful, but we learned them really, really quickly. And that's the best thing about ClickFunnels and working for ClickFunnels, is having, the ability to learn so many different skills and have so many different areas of expertise and verticals that you can go down. So, it was a scary time for us, for sure, growing that fast. And I think, the partners obviously handled it super well, and they're some of the smartest people I know. But overall, the ClickFunnels experience was pretty crazy. Just going from an average college student to a billing agent to managing a whole customer service team now that has 40 people on it, and making sure that everybody's organized and on the same page.
So we know that you arrived at Sweet Process as a solution, but what steps did you take in the past to solve the challenges, and why didn't they work?
Oh goodness, this is the ugly side of a startup, really. The ugly side of just trying to do whatever you can to keep your head above water. So, we used a lot of Word docs. We use a lot of Google Docs. We use Google spreadsheets, Google, whatever you could find to just put what we were doing on paper. and try to train other people as they came in what we were doing previously. And so as we had people move up and become team leads and managers, their roles were vacated, and so we had to teach the new people what we were doing. And so part of our training process now has Sweet Process involved almost 100% of the time. But in the past, they were just going over Google Docs, Google slideshows, anything like that. And so, we were frantic trying to get some of those processes completed. But overall, we're just glad we have a standard operating system now in place. And, I'm happy to say that ClickFunnels is now super organized with everything that we have now.
I imagine the greatest cost of all was time, but how much did you spend in the past in your attempts to solve the challenges?
Goodness, an almost undeniable ton of money. I don't know
Yeah.
specifically, but we spent a lot of money just on trying to create those procedures in the past that took us 10 times what it takes us now to really hash out, okay, what is our procedure here? What is the process at which you complete this? How much time should it take you to complete that process? And so, creating all of these procedures and processes was our biggest expense, because we had designated people to really create those. And now it's just an everyday part of everybody's job that they spend no more than an hour or so a day just putting that into a procedure and making sure that what they're doing is on paper. But going back to the expense of time, that was our biggest challenge. Is we didn't
Hmm.
have a lot of extra time to spend on creating procedures, so it just didn't get done most of the time. And that was our biggest challenge, is making sure it was a priority for us to get done.
You kind of alluded to this earlier, but before you solve the challenges, what did a typical workday look like for you?
Yeah, so a typical workday was just making sure that everything that needed to get done got done, and so there was no real, hey, this is what I'm doing tomorrow. There was no real planning phase, and so it was just, hey, what is the highest priority item,
Mm.
and let's hash that out first, and then go line item to line item. Now it's a lot more organized. We use a lot of different systems to plan out each and every day. Especially in support, we have a lot of great systems that we use, a lot of great tools that we use, softwares that we use in support to make sure that everybody is informed, everybody is educated, everybody knows what launches are coming, everybody knows about the product. We have a great training team now that goes through a boot camp of training for each agent. And so a lot more systematic and just less chaos, really, overall inside of support and over the whole ClickFunnels company. It's just a lot more organized with the systems that we have in place today.
Right. So basically, it sounds like before you had Sweet Process, it was just if a phone call came in, you answered the phone. If an email came in, you answered that email.
Yeah, anything to make customers happy. That was kind of our motto. And so we were doing a lot of things that, we have. It's very black and white now, and we lived in the gray for a long time. And so with Sweet Process, it helped us. Hey, this is what you do. This is what you don't do. It's very black and white, especially in support, making sure that our customers are taken care of in a manner that is same from the one customer to the next. And so there was a lot of living in the gray area back in the day. And, maybe a customer got handled one way this ticket, and then the next ticket it was handled completely different. And we don't see that almost ever anymore. It's very standardized and making sure that everybody is on the same page doing the exact same thing as the last customer. So every customer gets handled at the highest level.
Now, it seems kind of obvious based on what you've already said, but why did you want to systematize the company? What were you afraid of or worried would it happen if you didn't solve as you already mentioned?
There was a lot of fear that if we went to this, ClickFunnels is not corporate. We like pride ourselves. Our partners are not corporate by any means. They have a culture of ideas, cultivating ideas, and cultivating that culture of being creative. And so we were mainly scared of just, if we went this route of standardizing everything, how will that impact the creativity of people? How will that impact having the freedom and the bandwidth to do a lot of the things that we previously did? What we found, though, is we had a lot more time to be creative if we were more efficient. And so that
Mm.
fear and that overwhelming fear of having all of these things in place and moving towards a more corporate model were very easily squashed once we moved to a standardized process because we learned to be more efficient. We had people that had way more extra time to do other things that were high priorities and work on more of a business development type role instead of always working in support. Our support model is very efficient now. We don't need as many people handling the same number of tickets. And so we are very happy with the model that we went with and the corporate model that we moved towards. We're still, we still think we're a startup, because we're such a tight knit family here at ClickFunnels. But overall, just being more efficient was our biggest takeaway of having processes and procedures.
Of that. So systems allowed you to be more creative, not less.
Yeah, which is a crazy idea, right? And
It
so
is.
a lot of startups, I think they have that same fear of, hey, if we do this, if we have meetings every day, like what's going to happen? Or if we have this, what's going to happen? And we had that same exact fear once we moved to having Suite Process. And hey, if we have all of our rules and regulations in this one doc, there's not much time to live in the gray or help out a customer and go above and beyond. And we actually figured out the exact opposite. And we figured out a way to make sure that our processes were ones which we actually empowered more people to do more things. And in support, especially in my role in customer service, our team leads are working on project management most of the time instead of actually managing team members, because those team members have so much freedom and empowerment to do really what they think is right for customers.
And how did you hear about Suite Process?
We did a lot of research. One thing that we're very good at in ClickFunnels is doing research on any vendor that we go towards. And so Suite Process was one of those that was recommended. We always look at, I always look at lists, top 10 of this, top 10 of that. And so Suite Process was on a couple of lists that we saw, and it piqued my interest. I loved the layout and the UI that I saw. And so we thought we'd give it a try. And once we tried Suite Process, we obviously tried a couple of other things. But once we tried Suite Process, I just fell in love. We didn't need something that was insanely complicated or something that it was going to be have a million different dashboards or tabs or anything like that. And Suite Process really simplified it for us. And those fears that we were talking about earlier were immediately squashed once we went with Suite Process, because most of the things that are in Suite Process give it to you just so easy, and it's like trying to teach a fifth grader. And so that was where we went to, and we were happy we did it because we fell in love with it almost instantly.
Were you initially skeptical about Suite Process, and if so, why?
I think anybody is skeptical about going to any new vendor. Just making sure it's a big commitment, and going to any vendor and spending time training anybody in the company on this new process or a new vendor is difficult. So there was definitely some skepticism, but that comes with every vendor that we set up. But once people got into Suite Process and start creating procedures, start creating processes, and really started documenting their day-to-day life, it started to become very evident that Suite Process was going to be a pivotal part of the processes that ClickFunnels creates, and it was starting to be part of the training process as well. And so there was some initial skepticism, but that just comes with any vendor.
Was there anything else that helped you overcome your skepticism?
I know Owen really well, and they're just the support that we got from Suite Process and making sure that we had all the support that we needed. Any questions that we had got answered within hours. And so there was really no letdown. And so there was no real holes that we had inside of the Suite Process or big concerns that we had. There was even a couple of feature requests that we asked for, and we actually got done within a couple of days. So there was just such quick turnaround with their support and making sure that we had everything we needed. And that was a big thing for us, because ClickFunnels is so unique in what we do every day that we needed something that's a little bit flexible. Overall, Suite Process is super awesome to use and things like that. But the flexibility that Suite Process gave us was our biggest takeaway.
When you decided to sign up for Suite Process, was anyone else at the company involved in making the decision? And what was the buying decision process like?
Oh yeah, we had our chief operating officer at the time. He was definitely heavily involved in making sure that we had all the all the research, all the other quotes created, and made sure that we were comparing and contrasting with other companies as well. And so we had from top to bottom, from the COO to the director of support, even as billing agents, they were involved in the suite process demoing, making sure that it's right for every part of ClickFunnels. And as we mainly use it in support, it slowly bleeded into other departments as well, making sure that it is a uniform decision across the board. So there was, from top to bottom, there was a decision to be made. And as ClickFunnels does, we're very diligent in any vendor that we sign. And so that was one of the main gets, is almost every single person that came across Suite Process loved it immediately, and they were using it within a couple of days. So it was a pretty easy decision once everybody was able to demo Suite Process and use that trial as part of their process to decide whether or not we continue on with it.
We're always curious to find out, how exactly did you use Suite Process to solve the challenges you described earlier?
This one was strictly we need to start documenting what we do. And, if somebody leaves the company, we need to make sure that we know exactly what they were doing day to day. And so we as we grew, there was more and more fear of, hey, if this person leaves, if this person goes to a different title, there was going to be training times that exceeded the ROI that we were having currently. And so people were going to have to start training 3 to 4 weeks after they got a new position inside of the company on that new person. And Suite Process sped that process up by 2 to 3 weeks. You can go into Suite Process and understand exactly what somebody's doing, exactly the standards and procedures that they were running by, and you can understand that in a quick fashion. And you should. In our training system, there's no training that's more than a week now, and it used to be 3 to 4 weeks. So I think that was our biggest takeaway from Suite Process and moving on, and how we really utilize it at first. Now we use it for everything. I can't even dumb it down to one thing, but that's how we initially used it, just making sure that everybody's jobs and responsibilities were documented in there.
You've mentioned a few benefits already, but what are the most mind-blowing results that you or the company have gotten from using Suite Process?
It's just helped us be more efficient. I think that it is a tool and resource for the support team, for us to use every single day. Every single ticket that they have a question on, their first place that they go check is the Suite Process database. And that's kind of how we coin it, is, hey, if you're asking me a question, where did you go first? And we ask a question with a question a lot, and most of the time that answer is Suite Process, which is we love to hear. And if we can't find it in Suite Process, then it's going to be added within that hour. And so there's nothing you should do in your job that is not already in Suite Process. It's a database for knowledge. It's a database for learning. And we use that every single day to make sure that everything that we know is documented in there. There's nobody that should be, we call them knowledge hoarders. There's no knowledge hoarders anymore, because Suite Process eliminated that element of ClickFunnels.
And now that you've solved the challenges you described earlier by using Suite Process, what does a typical workday look like for you?
I can relax a little bit and make sure we can plan out days. Suite Process has eliminated a lot of the shoulder tapping and a lot of the questions that come through our communication systems. And so our day-to-day looks a lot more condensed, and we can focus on projects, passion projects, things that really help out ClickFunnels, reach more customers, reach more agents inside the company, and help out make everybody's life a little bit easier. And so there's less shoulder tapping and repeating yourself, and there's more searching inside a Suite Process. Okay, I got it. If it's not there, we have somebody to build it out for us. And so there's way less repetitive, inefficient questions that go around inside the company. If it's asked one time and can't be answered inside a Suite Process, it's answered almost immediately within the hour, and we've created a document inside there. So our days are a lot more condensed, a lot more fluid, and we're able to free up some time that otherwise would be spent on answering questions from either customers or agents inside of our communication systems.
We really appreciate your time, Clayton. To round out this interview, what's the next big goal you want to achieve in your company?
Oh, definitely 100,000 users. We're at 95,000 users right now. Uh,
Wow.
we have a goal of 100,000 users by the end of December of this year. We're really excited here. We have some really cool marketing things that we're releasing within the next couple of months if we can get that 100K goal. And so we're just really excited to hit that huge milestone. We've been waiting for it for a while, and as we left the hyper growth phase and entered more of just the active user realm, this has been something that we've been eyeing for a long time. So 100,000 users is everybody's mission and goal, regardless of department inside of ClickFunnels, and it should be hit here shortly.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Clayton.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.